Knobcon coverage brought to you by Signal Sound and Befaco, Future Sound Systems, Low Gain Electronics, Steady State Fit, Funk and Expert Sleepers.
So hey, AMMT and WMD. Alex, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good to see you.
Yeah,
Been a long time.
For sure.
Nice to see some updates on things that might be coming, and I've heard the hi-hats updated from when people last saw it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't get to see it at Super Booth, not been able to come, so I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so the hi-hat, since Super Booth, we've changed up the interface a little bit just to try and make it a little bit more performative and a little bit easier and less confusing to use. So basically, the gist of this thing is that it's a it's a dual layer sample player with an interface that's like completely designed around making the best possible hi-hat sounds you can. So we've got this blend knob that goes between two different surfaces, we call them, but that's just two different samples. So on this surface knob, you've got an SD card and you've got 8 banks of 16 different samples that you can choose between, right? So I'm gonna just like leave it here. And we've got pitch, we've got release, and then again, we've got the blend between the two samples. And then down here, instead of doing the layer B switch like we had at Super Booth, we're using assignable knobs. And that knobs are assignable with these switches. So basically, on this switch, on this left-hand side, you have balance. And so this is pretty much all open versus closed. So right now we're on the open side. Right now we're on the closed side. And I don't think I have too many closed triggers happening. There we go. So the idea behind this is you can basically normalize all your samples, and then this is how you mix them and get that level to be the perfect level you want it to be. Then we have, in the middle, we have release offset, so you can kind of shorten your closed sound versus the open sound. And then on the right-hand side, we have a high-pass filter. So you can kind of just shape that sound. And then on this side, we've got this switch, and this is how you control the samples that are on this side. This side, all the samples are going to be baked in. These are the samples that we're going to include with the module. So you can change the surface with this knob here when you have the switch to the left. I'm just going to choose a nice sounding sampled hi-hat. Middle is pitch for that sample. And on the right-hand side is an end-of-chain low-pass filter. So you can kind of use these two on the right-hand sides to really dial in your sound.
Yeah, make a bandpass out of it.
Yeah, exactly, make a bandpass. So then you can blend these two. Right now I have CV going into the surface of A as well as the release, but we're not hearing it because I have CV disabled. So with this switch, you can start moving around that CV.
The idea of like a mod mute switch.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just turn that off, turn it back on, and then on this side, the CV doesn't actually get to your bread and butter samples, right? So the idea is you start moving this around. You can go do a breakdown over here on this side and back. Or you can introduce some weirdness, but just have some extra little stuff in the back of your sound. And then again, disable it. We're right back to just like straight up blend. Back to the weirdness. So that's pretty much it. The max sample time of the samples, I believe, is up to 2 minutes. So you can use it as a straight up sample player for whatever you want. But again, the interface is just really dialed around making like the best hi-hats possible. The other thing that's added that I didn't show is you have velocity over open and closed. So you can get like real, you can get a lot more variation with that, but I just don't have that plugged in right now.
Yeah, oh, nice. And the performance mixer's coming back too?
Yeah, so WMD is going to continue. William will do the new performance mixer. And so this guy has a lot of updates, and it's basically everything everybody's asked for is included. So we have CV control over every aux now, so individually you have CV control over that. You still have control over level and panning. And then there's an added stereo bus. So you can run any track into the stereo bus, and then you just use the mix input to return if you want that. So you can do sub mixes, you can compress stuff, you can sidechain stuff. It's just super helpful. And then we've got clickless mutes now. So the Q buttons have kind of been replaced with mutes. Which is pretty nice to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's nice they're baked in right by the channel.
Yeah, exactly. And then, yeah, you hold Q to get in the Qs, hold bus to get in the bus, and then there's group here. If you hold group, we can basically say, like, I want to unmute both of these things, and then I want to put this in the bus, so I'll just hold bus and then hit that guy, and then when I release it, all of those things happen. So it's like the combo of the mutes expander, but just way more fully featured. And then still has a send and return for the master insert.
That was one of my favorite things. So when I've performed, I'll tend to, if it's more of an ambient thing specifically, I love throwing drums around as you are, faders up and down, almost like mutes. But running lots of different sound sources through a big chain. Yeah. But then being able to not just do that after my mixer, but have it in my section where I can cue and monitor and headphone out. Yep. Probably having a 2-bus.
Right.
More of a like production mixer environment type thing.
So it's still got that, and then it's 2 auxiliary sends, and you can send to both at the same time now.
Okay.
Which you couldn't do with the first one. And then everything else has to do with the expanders. So the expanders are not going to be compatible with the old. This is not compatible with the old expanders. Okay. You're going to have to get new ones. But the DB25 is going to be both pre and post fader. Okay. So you can choose with what header. So you can have, if you want, you could have 2 DB25s and have one for pre, one for post. And then there's also a MIDI output. And so the idea behind the MIDI output is you record your pre-fader channels
and record the performance.
And then record your automation of your performance.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So now you've got the best of both worlds. You mess something up, all you got to do is redraw a line. You don't have to recreate the whole mix. You've got that automation recorded. The MIDI is not MIDI is not the fastest thing in general. It does record all the CVs. However, for envelopes and stuff, you're going to want to use post fader outs for that. Yeah. But, just for moving faders or LFOs or anything like that, the MIDI can handle that.
Yeah, nice. So kind of how far are things away? Obviously, the company structure's changed a little bit, but are these getting closer?
It's getting closer. I mean, right now we're still working on finding our our manufacturing and our fab. So we have the hi-hat in for a prototype production run right now. Okay. And we're going to get a few of them made, and as long as that goes well, we'll be in production pretty soon, So hopefully by the end of the year still, but, I'm not counting on it.
That stuff is what it is,
Yeah, but, it might be early next year. And then the mixer, as far as I know, he's pretty much done with it. There's a couple things he needs to fix, but I think he's done that. This is mainly, it's a pretty complex build, so we're trying to get through a couple other things before he gets into that. So I'd say this is safe to say Q1 or 2 next year.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much for hanging out and asking the questions, man.
Yeah. Cheers, man. Thanks.
Cheers.